while you were gone to that home for unwed mothers to have your baby, Vash. That's when we became girlfriend and boyfriend. Vashti nodded. But he left here 2 years before we finished school and rarely came back. How did the two of you keep the relationship going? Bryce took a sip of her wine. You recall my mom's youngest sister, Janice? The one who moved from Canada to live in D.C.? Yes. I would make the trip by catching the bus to see her and would spend time with Kaegan as well, since he was stationed in Maryland. Vashti seemed to mull over that admission. I remember in our senior year how you would occasionally take the bus on the weekends to visit your aunt. I can't believe you never told me what you were doing and where you were going, Vashti said in an accusing tone. I wanted to tell you, Vash, but you were in your own little world during that time. You were still grieving after losing your baby. The last thing I wanted to do was overwhelm you with my happiness when you were so unhappy. That same night, she'd also told Vashti the reason she and Kaegan had broken up. Instead of the sympathy Bryce had expected, Vashti claimed she could see both sides and felt they were letting their stubbornness get in the way of them sitting down and talking through their issues. As far as Bryce was concerned, there was nothing to talk about. His lack of trust in her was unforgivable. Had he believed in her and known she could never betray him, none of this would have happened. A part of her wished the hurt he'd caused could somehow eradicate her attraction to him. It didn't. Whenever she saw him, she had to put up with seeing a man who turned feminine heads wherever he went, including hers. Kaegan was part of the Pointe-au-Chien Native American tribe. He was ultra handsome, and the mass of silky black hair that flowed around his shoulders made him look wild, untamed, and absolutely gorgeous. She recalled the times she would part his hair down the middle and braid it for him, making him look even more alluring. Usually he wore it in a ponytail, but not tonight. Bryce recalled telling him just what seeing all that hair flowing around his face did to her. How hot it made her feel. How so turned on she would get. That had been years ago, but she of all people knew Kaegan never forgot a thing. That made her wonder if he'd worn it down purposely to make her remember. Over the years, his features had matured. He no longer had the look of the cute boy she'd fallen in love with so many years ago. His eyes appeared to have darkened somewhat, but were perfect for his brown skin tone. His high cheekbones had always been his most captivating asset. They still were. Even with that dimple in his chin that couldn't be ignored. The dimple became even more defined whenever he smiled, which was rare when he saw her. She had a tendency to elicit his frowns. She would be the first to admit that a younger Kaegan Chambray had been a heartthrob, but the older version of that heartthrob was now just too breathtaking for words. Whether she liked him or not, she had to give him that. Deciding she'd both scowled at him and lusted after him long enough, she glanced around. 2 years ago, Kaegan had torn down the house he and his parents had lived in to build this one. She knew the painful memories within the walls of his childhood home. His father had been an alcoholic. Most of the time, he managed to stay sober during the week to run his business, but on the weekends, he would drink himself into a stupor. It was during those times Kaegan would use the small boat he kept hidden away in the underbrush of the bayou and escape through the swamps to a place he considered his hideaway, a deserted, uninhabitable island called Eagle Bend Inlet. Bryce had feared for his safety, worrying that one of those huge alligators was going to eat him alive. She continued to study his home. She'd never been given a grand tour, like a number of others, but she liked the parts she'd seen. It was right on the bayou, on land that had been in the Chambray family for generations. She could imagine waking up here every morning to such a gorgeous view. According to Vashti, due to the risk of hurricanes, Kaegan had built a home that could withstand up to 400-mile-an-hour winds. And the tilt of the foundation, which wasn't even noticeable, was a deterrent to